Archibald Chesterfield III doing paid reviews on the Paul Pluta channel. This is an urgent review. This is the guy sent me a little bit extra. He's just said to me, Arch, I'm sending you $40 for an urgent paid review. Urgent means premium pricing, am I right? I've been a follower for years. I've done a paid review in the past, which was very helpful. I know your advice is honest. Just before we go on, remember, like, subscribe, tell your friends, and remember, man cannot live on Google Ads alone. I need paid reviews to keep me going. Remember, you can also sponsor me on Patreon. It'll keep me in the mojo. Keep me full-time. Otherwise, I have to get a job. Okay, here we go. I know your advice is honest, which is why I trust that paying you for a review will not result in you telling me what I want to hear, but instead just the truth. I've been struggling on what to do with my current wearable collection. I've attached photos that you should feel free to use in a video review. My watch obsession started when I was 18. I purchased a Seiko SMA003 Kinetic Auto Relay back in 1998, brand new at $575. I really wanted the Tag Heuer Curium F1, but it was far too expensive. The Seiko looked very similar and just happened to also be a technological masterpiece. Being able to sleep for 5 years and wake up at any time, this really drove me into appreciating the possibilities of what watches can do. I remember ordering the Seiko, waiting a month for delivery and picking up the watch. I tore the box open in my car, a Geo Metro. My watch was worth more than my car. I felt like $1 billion wearing it. Ultimately, the watch was stolen after 7 years of daily use, which then left my wrist bare for a year. I finally decided that I wanted to feel like I did when I was 18, and I bought that Seiko. I've bought and sold at least 50 watches to get that feeling back and have discovered Swiss luxury. You have been a guiding force in the journey. My collection is now the following. Number 1! Omega Speedmaster Dark Side of the Moon. Don't worry, I purchased this pre-owned for a great bargain. I love it because it's such a technologically superior watch to almost anything else out there. 100% ceramic. The pure ceramic nature of this watch is amazing. It's a stunner on the wrist. The dial is mesmerizing. He says it has the top class 9300 movement. I feel like I own the world when I wear it. It's the perfect watch for someone who appreciates technology and advancement. That said, I'm not a fan of the follow-ups in the series. I feel Omega is destroying and diluting the brand with all the new ceramic releases. Number 2, Heuer Ortavia reissue. I told myself I would never own a Tag after learning more about them. Then I saw this released this year and fell in love with it. I purchased it on the bracelet, beads on rice, and I feel like $1 million when it's on my wrist. There's something that is just perfect about the big black bezel and those numerals, and the reverse panda dial with striking applied indices. The H2 movement is nicely decorated with a slick black rotor. I had to buy it brand new, but my dealer made me an offer I couldn't refuse. Number 3, Omega Seamaster Professional 2255.50. 10 years ago, I was inspired by this watch after I lost my Seiko. I saw it in an ad online somewhere. The electrifying blue dial, the waves, the stainless steel, the piercing sword hands. I managed to pick this one up second hand, but in 100% mint condition, even complete with the red dot on the case back. I've worn the heck out of it. It's not mint anymore. This is one of the dark horses of the Bond series, and I enjoy that as well. Number 4. He has got here's something for you, a Zenith Pilot Big Date Special. I originally purchased an Omega Speedmaster Professional, but I found that I was constantly drawn to this watch instead. I sold the Speedy and purchased this in its place. What do I love? First, the El Primo. I love the Arabic applied numerals, the quirky big date, the telemeter. My biggest gripe is the chronograph hand. It is flimsy and wobbles on reset. I don't know that until after I bought it. I also do not like how much the crown protrudes compared to the chronograph buttons. if I were to sell any of the fall, this would be the one that would go. I don't feel inspired the way I did when I first acquired. It's just the little things. Now, tell me what you think. What do you honestly think of my collection? What does my collection need? I do not like the JEWELLERY Cultural Reverso. The shape bothers me and I would never wear it. I looked at the Type 20, that's the Breguet Type 20. In person, it didn't do much for me and I feel would be very redundant in my collection now. Where does the collection go from here? You say every man needs a Rolex. I've always shied away from Rolex because I feel they are so common and boring. I do love the looks of the Explorer 2 Polar. I also love the looks of the BLNER, that's the Batman. I also love the looks of the Hulk LV. That new white Daytona is beautiful as well, but everyone has one. What am I missing? What kind of watch can reclaim this feeling of that old Seiko? Your fan, Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. So let's have a talk about your collection, then we'll answer your questions. What do I think there? Let's have a quick squizzy there at this collection. Firstly, you got the Omega Speedmaster Dark Side of the Moon. I gotta be honest with you, Ryan, I'm not a big fan of the Dark Side of the Moon. These were incredibly these were incredibly expensive. These ceramic models, I mean, you could buy a bluesy Submariner for the same price as this when they were, you know, they were pumping along there. So I really, it just doesn't do it for me. I'd much rather have the Speedmaster Professional Man on the Moon. That's my own opinion. However, that said, yes, it's not a terrible watch in the same token. It's not a terrible watch. It's not what I would buy. It's not my cup of tea. And you're right there, Omega has done some really shitty things. Omega thought it was Rolex for a while, then they started dumping to grey market dealers. So, you know, that's really stank it up a bit there. So, what do I think of the Omega Dark Side of the Moon? Look, it's not a terrible watch. It's something I wouldn't buy. It doesn't really sing to me, just like you said, the Breguet doesn't sing to you. I don't think the Dark Side of the Moon really sings to me, but fair enough, you like it. It is, I do respect it. I may not love it, I may not want to buy one, but I do respect it for what it is. So I think that's an okay watch there. The Hoya Ortavia, Hoya prices have gone ballistic. I mean, vintage Hoya, we're not talking Tag Heuer, we're talking Hoyas. They are super, super valuable. And that retro 70s look is incredibly cool. So the Ortavia reissue, I can understand it. I understand that indeed. Yes, that is again, it's probably not something I would buy. I personally, if I was going to buy a Hoya, I really like the Monaco. That's the square chronograph. That's the one that I think is the best. But I can't fault the Ortavia. That is a cool piece. Then we move on to your Omega Seamaster. Yes, I think that's a great diver. That is a cool piece to have there. I can't fault it. You know, Omega makes the whole Seamaster series. You've got to respect it. Admittedly, they've released so many Seamasters and Planet Oceans. It's diluted the brand a bit, but I still think the classic Seamaster like you've got there it's a cool watch. It's a cool watch to have there. And then you've mentioned the Zenith Pilot watch there, and that's the big Zenith Pilot Big Date. Okay. Yeah, I do respect that as well. That is a great. I do like it. I do like the Zenith. Zenith. My good friend Scotty, he loves Zenith. He really wants to get the Zenith with the 3 different eyes, the 3 different coloured eyes, the blue, the red, and is it grey or white? I can't remember. Anyhow, he wants to get one of those himself. So, okay. So I got to tell you, this collection here may not be the watches I would buy, but I do respect them. As a set, it's quite a nice ensemble you've got there. Your Grail is the Dark Side of the Moon. That's a great. That's you know, as I said, these are not things that I would, I would give the Dark Side of the Moon a 6.5 out of 10. The Hoya I'd give a 7 to. The Seamaster I'd give a 6 to. And the Zenith I'd give a 7. So, I think there's still very reasonable, really nice collection there. I don't have a problem with it. Nothing I hate. If I hated it, I'd tell you. I don't hate that. Now tell me what I think there. I think a lot of these pieces here are not they're not my cup of tea, but I'm a pretty conservative. I'm an overweight, lower middle class white guy, approaching 50. I mean, very different demographic to a hipster like yourself. So, you gotta wear that how it goes there. What do I think of your collection? I like it. I like it. I'm not just saying that, I mean it. I like it. They are pieces, some of these are not things I would buy, but I do like it. What does my collection need? Good question. Look, I really do think every man needs a Rolex. You need a Rolex because as soon as you tell people you're a Rolex, as soon as you tell people you love watches, they say, do you have a Rolex? So just to be able to say yes is worth it. I would probably say to you, you've got a fairly modernish collection there. I reckon the ceramic, I'd probably go 42mm Explorer 2, which you could get at a good price on the used market, or maybe a black or a Batman GMT. That's what I would be going for. I think that would complete this nice collection because you look at it, you got a diver, you got 3 chronographs, get a GMT piece. That's what I would do. I reckon that would really well round it out. I mean, you don't have to race out there and buy it immediately. Nothing's really lacking, but I think it's always nice to have a Rolex. Always good to have a Rolex there. I quite like it. I understand you don't want the JLC. Yeah, you're a bit too hip. That's kind of a bit more, conservative. I understand you don't like the Mark, the Breguet Type 20. I understand. Yep. Fair enough. It's not everyone's cup of tea there. You don't have to like the things that I've got. You don't have to like that. Where does my collection go from here? Well, I think you've got pieces that you really like. I'd add a Rolex. That's what I would do. I don't think they're that common. They're expensive. There's like a Mercedes-Benz. Is that common? I don't think so. I think a Rolex would be cool. I think you'd love a Rolex. Rolexes are cool. They're very cool there. What are you missing? I don't think you're missing anything. It's a great collection. I quite admire it. I mean, I'm looking at your photo. I quite admire this collection, even though it may not be the pieces that I would jump through hoops to get. I quite like it. I think as a collection as a whole, it'd be a 6.9, I'm saying. 6.9 is what I'd give it out of 10. 6.9, this collection. I mean, that's a good mark. That's a good mark there. I think it's a cool collection. You got to buy things you like. At the end of the day, what do you think? I quite like it. It doesn't snag me and say, yes, this is the way I go. You know the way I've gone there. I love the Breguet. I love the Speedy. See, I'm a pretty conservative sort of guy there. I'm older, but I quite like the collection. I love it, and it's really cool to look at it. If everyone had the same taste, the world would be so boring. So there we go. I give your collection a 6.9 out of 10. It's a great collection. You should be very happy with it. And thank you for watching the Archie Luxury channel. I really do appreciate you wanting my stamp of approval. I mean, I understand the Dark Side of the Moon. They were a huge money watch. And I think you got a beautiful collection. So there you go. Paul Pluta channel. Tell me what you guys, remember, like, subscribe, tell your friends. Tell me what you guys think of that.